Today we review a very serious cookie on the candy aisle. Hey guys, welcome one and all. My name is Jeff and welcome to the candy aisle. Today we are reviewing the Freans Original Fruit Cream Biscuit. It is a fruit cream cookie. So if you are from Canada, you might know this brand. I mean, if you're very old, and British, you might know this. You might know this brand, but it's not that this has such a complicated history, but it's just got a very, very long history. I was, scanning through the Wikipedia page on this company to try and figure out what the deal is, and it's just long and convoluted. So, you guys can go and read that yourself if you're really super interested. But the long and the short version of it is, the short version of it is that back in the 1820s, there was a tea importing company in England, run by James Peake. And he had a lot of kids and he wanted them to, run the family business. And they were doing quite well as an importer of tea. And some of his kids decided they didn't want to import tea for a living. So he's like, well, you guys can start a biscuit company because, they're rich and British. So they decided to start a biscuit company and then they immediately quit. So he was like, well, I need someone to run this new biscuit company because it would be complementary to the tea business. And so he had his niece, Hannah Peake, who had just married a guy named George Freans, to ask them to come and run the business. So Peake Freans was a biscuit company in England starting in the 1860s. They were the first biscuit company actually to introduce soft biscuits. So traditionally, you would have the hard biscuits with the shortbread biscuits with the pinpricks in them, so that they don't overly expand when you're baking them. But I guess George Freans, he had some experience with the sort of Scottish baking and the shortbreads and cakes that they would make up there. So if you imagine like this, a fruit cream cookie is actually a pretty natural extension of what you could see of a strawberry shortcake, right? Which is like an actual cake with strawberry in it. But then if you just made the cake into a cookie, like a soft cookie, right? Like this, and then the strawberry becomes just cream. It's kind of obvious, really. Anyway, Peake Freans went through a number of, they went through a number of name changes and iterations and ownership and yada, yada, yada. Eventually, they ended up as part of the Kraft buyout of the North American portion of what company? Anyway, they ended up at Mondelez, basically. And they're under the Nabisco brand, which actually in Canada, of course, is Christie here. So this is a brand. Peake Freans is actually a brand still owned by the De Beauvoir cookie company in England. I don't think it's being used as a brand, though. It is owned by the English biscuit company in India and Pakistan, and then in Canada, which is I think the only place that these are actually produced as such, and these are a Canadian-made product. It's under the Nabisco brand because of reasons, Mondelez and yada yada yada. Anyhow. That's the short version of it, guys. But basically, I know these because I grew up with these cookies, and I always thought these were fantastic. And I don't know that they're really popular anywhere else because I think that they're made in Canada. Yeah, okay. No artificial flavors or colors. Anything else we should know about them? That's en français. Nutrition facts and ingredients. I mean, guys, they're cookies, right? They're just cookies. It's not that. And then the backside is the French. So let's have a look at them. It's a soft shortbread cookie, but I always thought these were fantastic as a kid. And I was surprised that they weren't more popular. And then as usual in Canada, we have this typical packaging, as you see for most of at least the Christie cookies. So your Canadian version of your Oreos and your Canadian version of your, what's it called? Chips Ahoy and things like that will all come in that style packaging. It's pretty nice. It's a nice way to keep them. Anyway, let's have a look at this. So there's the cookie. It's got the jelly in the middle. It's got the sugar crystals on top. It's got sort of a shortbread around here. And then a cream, which I think is a vanilla cream. Here. When I was a kid, at least, these came in different flavors. And I assume this is just strawberry. But they did have raspberry and I think like a wild berry as well. I don't know if those exist anymore, though. I know, I don't see these as often. I don't think cookies are as big now as they used to be. There's too much like specialty candy on the market. Oh, it's been a minute. Great crumble to the cookie. I love the cream, but that jelly, man, oh man, it's like a really sweet, almost gummy-like jelly. It's really good. Really, really good. And because it's got so many different parts to it, there's like a lot of different sort of, it's almost like a play value, like how are you going to eat it? Well, like when I was a kid, me and my sister would take off all the surrounding bits and then just have the jelly at the end. All of it's good though. So good. Well, look at that nice design work on the bottom. I have to recommend it. It's like a good amount of sweet, not overly crumbly. I mean, obviously, normally people aren't doing that, right? Even just the shortbread and the cream is great. But the jelly really makes it. And that extra layer of sugar on top, so good. So worth it. I gotta highly recommend these. I don't know if you live in Canada, you probably know these or probably have had these. Maybe not, I guess. I don't know. I you know what? I have no idea. What do I know? I just know them. I happen to grow up with them. Like these were popular before Cott introduced the President's Choice line, right? So before the decadent cookies became really, really popular in Canada, I mean, we had Oreos, but like, being as old as I am, these were probably like premier, like top tier cookie, top tier in terms of what was available when I was growing up in the, mid 80s, mid 90s, 80s to 90s sort of time frame. So I gotta highly recommend these. If I sit here too long, I'm just going to keep eating them. And I don't really know a ton of what to say. I mean, like, you guys can see what they are. The main thing is probably just to get a look at them, because I think you guys will know. These taste as good as they look. They are really, really good. Highly recommend them. I'm going to give them a full 5 out of 5. Why don't you guys let me know? Have you tried these? Do you know them? Do you like them? What do you think? Is there something else that's like equivalent to this, but better somehow? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear about it. And if you're from another country other than Canada, do you have something equivalent to this kind of a biscuit or a cookie? Let me know what you think down below. Thanks everyone for watching. I will talk to y'all next time. So long.